Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing another collection video. Today it's time to take a look at my Sony collection. So that is my PS1 and PS2 games. I only own a PlayStation 2, but it's backwards compatible with the original PlayStation. So I'm going to start off with my PlayStation games. I've got quite a few PlayStation games and PlayStation 2 games. So the first game is Galaga Destination Earth, and it's a remake of the classic arcade game Galaga. I reviewed that in my last review, and it features some 3D stages as well as side-scrolling stages. I'm not so keen on the 3D stages, so they don't really feel like Galaga anymore, you know, they just feel like a generic shoot 'em up, but the top-down stages are quite good. Next up, Gran Turismo. This is a really good driving simulator. I'm sure if you like racing games, you've got this game if you have a PlayStation or PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3. And also Gran Turismo 2, which is an improvement on Gran Turismo. The graphics are dated, but the gameplay is still solid. Next up, Grand Theft Auto. I'm not so keen on the top-down versions of Grand Theft Auto. Like I said before, I can find them hard to control, but they're okay, I guess. And Grand Theft Auto 2, more of the same really. Next up, King of Bowling 2. I'm not too keen on this game. I wouldn't really recommend it. It's definitely not as good as like the bowling on Wii Sports or anything like that. Next up, Micro Machines V3. It's a fun game if you like top-down racing games. You know, some cool track layouts. You know, so yeah, I'd recommend it if you like top-down racing games. Next up, Pac-Man World, 3D platformer featuring Pac-Man, and I like how they adapted the concepts in Pac-Man and transitioned them into 3D, and it actually works quite well. And there's also the original Pac-Man on there on the disc that you can play. Next up, Pong, or Pong the Next Level, I believe it's called. It's a enhanced remake of Pong with like pretty cool level designs, and there's some nice twists on the Pong concept. So, next up, Ridge Racer Revolution. I got this from Robbie. The controls take a little while to get used to, and like quite a lot of PlayStation games, the graphics are a bit dated, but still a fun game. And yeah, it was a good choice of Robbie to include that. And next up, Soviet Strike. This is the classics version, so it's a re-release. I've only played this game once, I think, and it's quite challenging, like the Desert Strike and Jungle Strike games I got on the Mega Drive. Next up, Street Fighter Collection 2, which is a compilation of games from the Street Fighter 2 series. If you like fighting games, you might well like that. Next up, another fighting game, Tekken 2. I believe this is on 2 discs. It's another solid fighting game. Next up, TOCA 2 Touring Cars. TOCA Touring Car Championship. And TOCA World Touring Cars. Yeah, I used to be quite into racing games, not so much now, but and the problem with PlayStation games, particularly like 3D ones, they tend to look quite dated now, but I guess the gameplay still holds up. My final PlayStation game, Wipeout 2097, which is an arcade-style racing game, kind of similar to F-Zero, F-Zero GX on the GameCube, but the graphics aren't as good, but it's still a fun and solid racing game. Now on to the PlayStation 2 games. First up, Activision Anthology, which is a compilation of quite a lot of the Activision games for the Atari 2600 video computer system. And I suppose if you like the Atari, you'll like this. It might bring back some memories. And it has a cool 80s soundtrack as well, which kind of adds to the 80s feel. Next up is Burnout. I think this is quite popular with arcade style racing game fans. I wasn't too keen on it, but I suppose you might like it if you like arcade style racing games. Next up is another racing game. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of these. Colin McRae Rally 3. And Crazy Taxi, which is a more arcade style racing game. I reviewed this a while back, and it's a fun game, although it doesn't really have that much depth. Next up is F1 2002, which is more of a simulation style game. Next up, a football game, or soccer as it's known across the pond, FIFA 08 and FIFA Football 2005. I wouldn't really recommend you pick these games up now because, you know, they're not up to date anymore. That's the problem with like sports games, you have to get the next one every year. But you can probably find these quite cheap. They're probably going for about 99p or something like that, so, you know. Anyway, on to another game, Grand Theft Auto 3. This is one of the 3D Grand Theft Auto games. I definitely like these a lot more than the 2D top-down games. And I don't generally take the Grand Theft Auto games too seriously. I mean, I don't go around doing missions and stuff like that usually. I usually just go around shooting people, you know. Not that I do anything like that in real life. Anyway, another Grand Theft Auto game, San Andreas. This might be my favourite Grand Theft Auto game. Another one, Vice City. Next up, Gran Turismo 4. I know there's a lot of cars. It says 700 cars and 50 tracks, but to be honest, I didn't really find it all that fun. You know, it was very realistic, I guess. They put a lot of effort into that, but you know, at the end of the day, it didn't really feel that enjoyable. But if you like collecting cars and stuff like that and upgrading them, then you might well like this game. Next up, Intellivision Lives, which is a collection of over 60 Intellivision games, and I quite like this compilation. It's got some nice games on. Some of my favourites are Shark and Night Stalker. So yeah, I recommend it if you like the Intellivision, if you had the Intellivision back in the day, you want to relive some of the classics. Next up is International Cricket Captain 3. Some of you might find this kind of boring. You don't actually play the game, you just make decisions and watch it play out. So you know. But if you like the cricket management style games, then you might like it. Next up, an RPG, Kingdom Hearts, the Platinum Edition. I haven't really got too far on this game because I usually end up getting stuck. I'm not very good at figuring things out, but it's quite a popular game. I suppose if you like RPGs, then you probably like this game. It has some Disney characters as well as characters from the Final Fantasy series, I believe. Next up is Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. Unfortunately, the disc is scratched, so it won't work. Next up is Midway Arcade Treasures 3, which is a compilation of some of Midway's arcade games. This compilation is focused around racing games, so there's Hydro Thunder, which is one of my favourites, as well as Super Off-Road and games like that. So if you like racing games, you might well like this compilation. Next up is an arcade style racing game, Need for Speed Carbon. If you like cruising around, you know, and getting in trouble with the police and that kind of thing, then you probably like this game. Next up is Need for Speed Most Wanted. Unfortunately this disc is scratched as well, so I haven't been able to play it. Next up, NHL Hits 2002. It's a more arcade style take on hockey, I guess. It's quite over the top. It's not very realistic, but it's quite a lot of fun. Even though I don't really play that many ice hockey games or watch it. It's not really that popular over here. Next up is Space Invaders Anniversary, which is a compilation of 9 different versions of Space Invaders. So you got the original and like Space Invaders 3D and like stand up and cocktail versions with the cabinets, I think. So if you like Space Invaders, you might well like this game, even though it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. But when it's a game as good as Space Invaders, I don't know if you really need to bring anything new to the table. And last but not least, The Sims Busted Out. Now, I think quite a lot of people like this kind of game, but to me it's kind of boring because, you know, why would you want to play a game involving, you know, just doing your daily routine when you can just do it in real life? I don't know. Maybe some people like this kind of thing, but I wasn't too keen on it. I guess you can do things you might not be able to do in real life, but, you know, I might revisit it and see what I think. So that's my PlayStation and PlayStation 2 collections. My final collection I've got to do is my Xbox 360 collection, which I'll do a video on soon. Like I said before, if you've got any requests, let me know. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll put up another video soon. Bye.